Hello everybody. I am giving an information speech on a very interesting topic that many people either, number one, don't know anything about, number two, know very little, and what little is known is very misguided and very misunderstood. And I want to start off by introducing this. This is the pentacle. This is a symbol of what my speech is about. It is about Wicca, specifically more modern Wicca. Modern Wicca, you can also call it the craft, witchcraft, things like that. You know, when you think of witches, witchcraft, you don't think it's real. In reality, it is a true practice that exists even to today. And I'm going to start off first by introducing a little bit of history, then talking a little bit more on what Wicca is, the central core of it, what the beliefs are, and mostly just at the end of it, why a lot of people are so drawn to it, why it tends to lure people in. So, starting off, how it came about more into the more modern era was by a gentleman named Gerald Gardner. He would go to Far Eastern places on business, and he would get to know some of the natives and the tribes, and he became very fascinated in their practices of how specifically they used ritual instruments and just how different things were, and he was very intrigued by it, and he became influenced by that rather than Christianity. And here's a little kind of poorly picture of him. I'm sorry, I'm kind of technologically challenged, so I don't have a PowerPoint, but I do have this picture. This is Gerald Gardner. And he brought the information he had back to England, and he actually got into some occults and, starting to find out more about it. Occult is not necessarily a bad thing. Occult essentially means hidden. So not necessarily negative, it can also be positive. The general term for it is to be hidden. Not a lot of people see that. And from that point, he wrote some books, and then books got published and sent all over the world. There was a gentleman named Raymond Buckland here in the United States who read these books, became fascinated by it as well. He wanted to become one of the followers. So what he did, he actually went to England, and under the sorry, I forgot her name. It was Monique Wilson, yes. He actually went there, did a 10 to 12 day course specifically on Wicca, the ways, rituals, everything, and he became initiated, because back then, that's the only way how you became a part of it, is if you were initiated by an actual practitioner of the Gerardian, which is Joe Gardner's, how his branch is called, is how if you got initiated through that. And from there, he came back to the United States, and with his wife, they actually founded a coven, wrote books, got more widespread in the United States, and now there's more authors such as Scott Cunningham and Silver Raven Wolf, DJ Conaway, things like that, to where it's more widespread. And it has also evolved to where you don't have to be initiated at all. You can just start being a solitary practitioner in the privacy of your own home. So that's how it's tended to evolve from the history from then even to now within the modern ages. What Wicca essentially is, there is no true definition to it other than it can be defined as many things. An important thing about Wicca is that there is no one set way to practice it. It is basically revolving around the individual. What makes you comfortable, and for you to connect with yourself, with deity, which in Wicca, deity is visual as dual. You have the god and the goddess. So you have both masculine and feminine aspects of divinity. And your connection with nature, because nature is everything. That's what they created, and it's one of the most ways to fully connect with them is appreciating with the nature what's around you and communicating. With Wicca, you also find out about witchcraft. Witchcraft is not evil, despite all the bad rep that it's gotten. The true practice of witchcraft is to do positive. True practicing Wiccans believe that to use witchcraft in a negative way, such as hexing people, things like that, is a disgrace. It is a disgrace to the divine, to yourself, to nature, to the universe. It is not to be used in an evil way. And if by chance some people, and this is how bad raps tend to came about, twisted the belief for their own personal benefit, karma always comes back threefold. So whatever you've heard about the whole evilness of this practice, throw it out the window. That is not true. The true practice of it is to do good, positive. Magic. Good. Wiccans also have a lot of rituals. There are many rituals. I cannot name them all. It'll take forever. But rituals in an aspect are to celebrate your connection with the divine, with the goddess and God. A ritual can be anything from just you by yourself at home, having a little bonfire, singing, chanting the names of the god or goddess that you pay patronize to. Just praising them, thanking them for everything that they blessed you with. Or, if you, by chance, happen to be involved in a group, like I am, we can meet up, and it can essentially be the same thing, just in more of a group practice. There's nothing wrong with that. With ritual, another common misconception, nudity is optional. You do not have to be nude. A fully clothed person in ritual, it can be just as effective as someone in nude. The whole idea of the nudity is being more open and honest with the divine. You don't have to, though. It is not required, so don't worry. It's not like we dance around naked. That's kind of embarrassing. At least I think it is. For ritual, though, it is highly suggested that you bathe. That is one of the things that is highly encouraged. But ritual can also be spontaneous, so as long as you at least feel clean, then there you go. It's basically the same thing like going to church. You want to at least be clean and ready to go. And one might ask, what is it that lures a lot of people in? Well, back in the day, you had to be initiated and you had to meet a certain criteria. Nowadays, you don't have that. Anybody can have access to it. But a lot of people who tend to be drawn to it, women specifically, tend to be a lot more drawn to this path because of the fact that there is a feminine divine. Monotheistic beliefs of, just as an example, not crashing Christianity, I used to be a practicing Christian myself, because of the monotheistic belief and kind of the hammer of the belief that it's opened the doors to, number one, women are not subjective to any stereotype or anything like that. They are free to also be priestesses if they wish. That was one of the only religions that also allowed priestesses back in the day, was Wicca. And just the overwhelmingness of that there is a feminine divine tends to draw a lot of women, because it's like all male, all centralized around the male, to no, there is also a female aspect to a way of life. A lot of people of different, like an example would be like homosexuals, transgenders, they tend to be drawn into it because Wicca is very non-discriminative. We don't care what you are. We love you for who you are, not what you are. I was actually in Pantheacon, which is a whole convention dedicated to paganism, and I saw men with breasts and fun things like that, men dressed up as women, and it's not necessarily to grab attention, it's because they are paying homage to deity, specifically to the goddess. And who are we to judge? It's like, okay, you're doing your thing, that's fine. Yes, and there's a flying mosquito eater. But there is no discrimination in Wicca, and if it is portrayed as any type that there is any discrimination, that is not true Wicca. It is not. And above all, it is one religion of complete freedom. There is no one true way of practicing it. Again, you basically are free to do what you want as long as you follow the code. Code basically is do what you will, as long as you do no harm to yourself or others. Other than that, you are free to do what you want. So, closing it up, hopefully pretty soon. I know it's tended to be a while and there's a lot of information. I'm very passionate about this topic because I myself am a new follower and I am involved in a group of more experienced Wiccas, and I am learning a lot more about it, so I'm very passionate. Coming from history and then to the modern, it has come a long way, but there's still a lot of ways to go. A lot of people especially are still in the broom closet, as we say, because of the scrutiny we still face, that we are evildoers, that we wish to do harm. That is not what we're about. We basically are a green religion, so to speak. We love the earth, we love each other, and just loving deity, which is, I think, one of the most key cores in any religion, is to connecting yourself with deity. Thank you.